All right, my brethren. We are here. And hopefully we live. Let's see who's in the house. We always check the house for somebody knocking on the door. Let's see who's in the chat. All right. Sister Gwen there. And this lady here, you might know her. I'm not for sure. Somebody might know her. All right. Praise Yah. We just honoring the Father, thanking Him for all of His goodness and everything that He has done for us. And we just so grateful. It is a grateful day, a day to be grateful every day, of course, and just thanking the Father that we came to this point and He brought us back together again. And I am looking forward to it. I think I said earlier, this is one day I look forward to it, to being together with those that come together even live. And then even if you didn't get a chance, you get a chance to see this once again. So those of you that may be looking at it for the first time, we are here to encourage. We're here to build up, and we just thank the Father for that. And hopefully that we can say something to build you up. So as Power Up is about to build you up, have a concept of, I guess in these days you have the maybe the little video games or whatever, taking you to one state to another state, and hopefully to a stronger state. And then sometimes maybe it's something that you never really considered and thought about that we may say. So different topics that we do have, us walking out the covenant, and that's part of that metaphor of the shepherd's staff, right? So some of the things we are talking about, the walk here, the halakha, the walk, and how you begin to walk in the covenant. So that is our desire, and I know that after you begin, there is a life to this. So hopefully that we can begin to touch those things and consider for you to think about, and then let the Ruach or the Spirit begin to move in your life in such a way that it can be, say, if I use the terminology, tailor made for you. And that's what we have a desire. So the brethren that are with me, that's one of the things that I give them a topic and we kind of discuss a little bit of it. But when I'm asking them questions or when we're trying to build on that, I want them to come straight, fresh from the heart, meaning straight from their life and then where they are presently at. And I think that that will be a help and a power up and a build up for you. Because it's coming from a life situation instead of a study situation. We look at some things, but I'm trying to pull from experiences that we have had, right? And because we can, see different things or whatever, but that's where I want the impact that I wanted to come by is the experience that we have. And in our experience, we hope that somehow we can aid you or aid someone in whatever area they may be, whether it be marriage, whether it be careers, whether, wherever you at, that's where we have a desire to do, is somehow to build you up and give you something. Now, that's really takes us right into the fact that who you are connected to will affect you. Now, whoever you're connected to will affect you. And that's very important. There's so many ways we can go to this, but that's just life in general in that. Now, sometimes in life, I want to go back to the puzzle. I always use that, I guess. But in life, you may get a puzzle piece from different people according to where you live at. Some people travel and they can be in different countries as well as different states, as well as different cities, right? And so each place that you have, you can always get a little piece of a puzzle, right? And those puzzles you can put them together in your life. Most of the time when I look back in my life, I try to use me as an example. Now, sometimes these examples does not necessarily mean that, it say in the sense that I don't have a type of victory or something in that. But I just want to it's easier that way than if I say I'm talking about me, then no one else can say I'm talking about them, because I just said I'm talking about me in that. So piece of the puzzle. So I am a summation of the piece of the puzzles that I have been. I've been to different places. I've been to, say, to Italy. So I pulled from that. I've been to Colorado. So I pulled from that. I've been to Denver, Colorado. I've been to Colorado Springs. I've been to the military. All of these pieces, if you were to discuss with me, you would see a piece of that puzzle of where I'm at, right? So even though the pieces of the puzzle, in my, if you think about that, normally it makes a picture of something. So each piece that I have, you'll see that now and it's a continual thing, because you know that until we breathe our last breath, then you will continue to collect and you will continue to get. So it's important that who we're connected to, right? Because it's going to have a ripple effect in that. It'll have a ripple effect, and we'll talk about some of that. But from the beginning, from Bereshit on, it was always a two. Two was always better, and I did a teaching that two is always better than one, right? So it's always better, right? Two is always better, but that's engagement because we influence one another. We influence. So I take a little bit from you and you take a little bit from me, and whatever area it might be. And so we will deal with maybe some negative ones and maybe some positive. When we're trying to stay really more into the positive, meaning the more to enhance our life, those pieces of the puzzle. Because sometimes when you go and you look at it and you find that, you say, okay, this piece of the puzzle I do not desire, or I do not want. And that's, some of the things that we're going to talk about is what piece of that puzzle that you want, And so we will get into some of that as well. And I think that most of the time, when I was looking at this and looking at my life as well as others around, the lack, and this is, I find out that this is really a good one here, the lack of accountability, you see. So now you could be connected to somebody, but the accountability is a word that, that word hurts. That hurts the ears. That hurts people's life. Because most times I have found out through all of these years of counseling and all this, I found out that the accountability part is where it's going to happen. So hopefully through these 2 sessions that we do have, we're going to do them in twos. So hopefully that, we can bring something out that can impact. And if you a person that don't want to be accountable for anything, it's going to make your life difficult. Other words, you're going to get through life. People get through life in every area, whether, you could say they get through life if they in prison, in hardship or whatever, they get through it. Right. But why go that route of difficulty when we don't have to? Now, when we come in the covenant, we can't. It's gonna have to be accountability. There's no way of getting around that. You can get around it, but if you want to be successful in the things of the Father, accountability is important. I see a lot of lack of that accountability in that. So, but there's always somebody that's influencing us, right? Or a situation or whatever. And then, of course, I'm going to have these gentlemen, they're going to come on because even we have some generations here. So they can pull on the young generation that is here today, right? And then that. And I'm so grateful for them. Yes, I'm grateful for them. So I was going to pull up my questions here, my brothers, and I'm I'm going to just put it out. One of the things that you see on the rolling screen is Proverbs 13:20. He who walks with the wise, right? That's important. Shall be wise. He that walks with the wise shall be wise. So we are start off in that who you are walking with, and then how. This is a question too, brothers. Is how do I know when somebody is wise? Now that's sometimes it could be difficult, and who is a wise man? I wanted to pull this up. How do you discover somebody that is wise? Woman, a man. So most times we will speak on tonight. Many times we would say men, but women, children, and all of that. What can you discover? How do I know when somebody is wise? Now, we can. I leave you the door of you can start. Of course, we're gonna definitely end up in the covenant part. But how do I know? If it could be on the job, it could be whatever you're doing. But I want to know because we have to know if I don't know who a wise person is, then how do I know when I discover that wise person in order to walk with them? Because that's what that's saying. A wise man, I have to be able, my association should be with wise people. So each time you see people and greet people and all of that, when you start making a connection with that, right? Connect it. Okay, you greet every time you see people or every time you know someone doesn't mean that you connected. Connected to what I'm looking at, and I'm trying to explain that is when you have that relationship. That's what one of the things that we want to say. Have that relationship. So, my brother, so how is it that you discover sometimes that that this is a wise person, and then how long does something like that take? Just give us some ideas in that, and whoever wants to jump into the fire first may be able to do that. Just jump right on there. So we want to who walks with the wise will be wise, yeah, and shall be wise in that. So, all right, my brother.
You
Yeah, I'll go
good?
first. Yes, I'll go
Okay,
first.
all right. Go ahead
Listen,
and get in there.
I think the first thing you're gonna notice when someone says, first, I want to give all praises to the Father.
Hallelujah.
Um, and it's just when the things that come out of their mouth, I think that's going to be the number one indicator if someone is wise or not. And then it's going to be also their actions. So I'm always going to come from a place at work most of the time because that's where I spend a lot of my time at. Uh, seeing how certain people deal with certain situations when a problem arises, when something gets stressful, how are you going to deal with that situation? Are you going to operate in wisdom? Are you going to operate uh, in your feelings, as we call it? It to me that will distinguish between a person who is wise or not, because someone, especially when you know someone that's just they don't talk, they don't have much to say, it's like you can't really discern where they coming from. You can't discern, if there's wisdom in there. And there are times when it's like, man, this person start talking and you like, man, you quiet, but you have some things to say, but then on the flip side, it's like, oh man, you quiet and you talking and you know you don't seem too wise. So for me, it's always going to be about what the things they say, what comes out of their mouth. And I know I deal with that on a daily basis. When I'm dealing with certain people, they have certain things to say about certain situations, and I would know right then and there if that person is wise or not. So that's just the way that I discern from wisdom from a person. Is I really focus on the things that they say, and then if they are talking good, are you backing it up with the things you do? So that's my take on
Okay, okay. That's good. That's good. What do you think, my brother?
Praise Yah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Oh man, that was good. See, I like riding shotgun. So I agree with you, brother Jedediah. That the workplace definitely. I think if we were to just start there, be a good place to discern wisdom, or look for it, searching for it. And I say, how do I know someone is wise or when someone is wise? Uh really, and first, one of the first things I could say is them having success in things that I failed at. That really catches my attention when I stumble or when I'm not as successful at something, and then someone can come up and then do it. And I'm not just saying maybe they were two steps ahead of me. I'm saying they made something look easy that I was struggling at. And in that, I'm not just talking about skills because I mean, like I said, I'm a fix it guy. I'm talking even with like how Jedediah was saying it with behavior, especially in stressful situations where somebody may have been disrespectful or rude or let's go the whole thing. I mean, they're calling you outside your name. They're really trying to bring you down. And the way somebody handles themselves in that situation, I think exposes their wisdom. And I've seen it with my own eyes. A wise man handle a foolish man in such a way that it captivated me. It wanted me to then become wise too, because it's like if I never had that example of seeing someone handle that situation with such wisdom, I would have done less. I would have done less than what I saw the wise man do. I probably would have come outside of my character, and like JD was saying, um, it was I could expose myself as not the wisest, you know. But I'd say another thing is their interest. Another thing with people is what they're into, or what they spend their time on really express is an expression of their heart. And I say the interest of the wise is I'm not trying to be very narrow in my opinion here, but I'm just saying that typically those who dwell with wisdom have interests that are fairly upright or clean. They're not really into a lot of things that are going to be derogatory or inflammatory or embarrassing. Something you could most of the time express with adults and with children. If you're dealing with a whole lot of plug your eyes, look around, no, don't repeat after me, that typically is a good sign that this person is still trying to develop wisdom. But most of the time, I've seen it to where the wise have attributes and interests that are so like magnetizing. They draw you in, and you then want to pursue it, either in knowledge, in character, in relationship. So that's really what catches me in that area.
Okay, good. That was that's real good as you guys recognize the wise person in that, and trying to connect to that. So when you connect to wisdom, then that's how you elevate to get wisdom, right? So anytime that we always need examples or we need to be taught some things, right? So that's where the accountability comes in. You have to be accountable to wisdom. And if you're accountable to wisdom, then you will grow wise. The other side to that is the foolish side, right? So you're going to suffer some things if you think of the foolish side. And I think that, Brother Jada, you expressed that, well, what is they saying here, to identify that, because sometimes we can say, foolish things, but that don't make us foolish, right? Now pay attention. We can say wise things, but that don't make us wise. So how do we recognize that? Because of course, we know that these would take relationships. You know, so how do I recognize a foolish one? How would I do that?
How would I recognize a foolish relationship?
Now, a foolish person. Yeah. If, okay, I'm cleaving to a wise. How do I know who foolish then?
All right, trouble. I'd say foolishness and trouble go hand in hand. And I mean all sorts of trouble. Trouble in relationship, either, whether the woman with trouble with men or the man with trouble with women. And by trouble, I mean like the areas that typically, if you're pursuing wisdom, you don't want to have a bad reputation in these, like faithfulness, trustworthiness, honesty. So if somebody there's this thing that people call being two-faced, they're one way here and then they're another way somewhere else. I'd say that those are some of the character traits of foolishness, inconsistency of character, and dishonesty. Um, I'd say that that's probably like some of the number one highlights, and a repetition of the same mistake. And I don't mean not wanting to learn from it. I mean you learned from it in the sense of you experienced it. You knew what was right and what was wrong, but yet chose wrong. Kind of like that. I know I can get away with it mentality. That's the sign of a fool. I think one of the proverbs, I think it's Proverb 1, says, "Let us lie in wait for blood." That's what a fool sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
We're plotting to do evil. We think nothing's gonna come, nothing bad is gonna happen to us. So when I'm looking at a fool or foolish ways, trouble is the number one thing. And also, if your peers, maybe they have something unfavorable to say. Hey, I saw you with this individual. You may want to keep your distance. Or you may want to watch what you say, and not in the sense of you're saying the wrong thing. It's just that sometimes when you're upright, people could twist it to try to make you look bad. So you just got to be careful, in that. And I'd say that's probably what's fresh on my mind.
Okay. All right, my brother.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. I'm definitely going to go that route, doing the same thing over and over. That right there is a foolish trait to have. Um, when you make the mistake, you shouldn't be doing that again. We talked about that in Torah study,
Mm-hmm.
when,
Mm-hmm.
with Dawid. But I've seen people like that in my life where it's like you're making the same mistake. You're doing the same thing that you did before. You're going to jail for the same thing that you just did 5 years for. And it's just
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
like how are we getting here? You know. So that right there, I know is one of the things that we can look and see that is a foolish person. Um, another thing I would say is like purposely doing the wrong thing. Like when you know that this is something that we shouldn't be doing, and then you purposely go and do it, and you have that I don't care mentality. I'm going to do it anyway. Obviously, that is a foolish trait to have. Um, on the workplace, you see people, or it's not even just doing something, it's also not doing something. Like when like this is what I should be doing. We can keep it on the workplace. Like this is what I should be doing. This is part of my job, but I'm gonna choose not to do it anyway. Well, you asking, to either get fired, get written up, get demoted. You putting yourself in a bad situation when you're purposely like going against the grain and not doing what you should be doing. So those are two things that I see that, from my experience, whether it was with me because I know I used to be foolish like that, and or things I've seen with others, operating in that atmosphere of foolishness and just doing the same thing over and over and just purposely doing the wrong thing. And uh, that's really it, Alvin.
Okay. All right. So, and I think you at the end you were saying like We talking about like if I'm connected to somebody, say if I'm connected to person A, right? And because I know even I did some foolish things. Like I say, there are some foolish things, and then there's a person that's just foolish altogether. You know, and so how would a foolish person affect me though? Okay, that's enough. What you guys answered was correct. I'm moving into a deeper state here, right? How is that if I'm connected and the title said what is who you connected to is going to affect you. So how is that foolish person is going to affect me though? How do I know when it's just sometimes we make some foolish decisions or some ways, or when does it come when I can identify that person is foolish and I don't need to be connected to that, because if you are, then it's going to do you harm. You're going to suffer, right? You're going to suffer, and you could be continue to connected to that person, but you're going to be you're going to suffer. Now, it could be a person or it could be just a whole little situation. And when I say that, the whole thing on say with the job, a group of people, let's say that, you know, and then of course I will move into what we see and then what we hear and then what we have on these social media platforms and stuff, right? And so we'll move right into that. But I hope I was clear on that. How do I know? Okay, I'm dealing with person A, and then me and him are forming a relationship. But when does that point come that I say, okay, what he did there was foolish, and then how do I discover that he is a fool? At this particular time. And when I say that, and those of us that listening now, everybody has an opportunity. We can't say everything. Opportunity to change that. You don't have to stay a fool, but you're not gonna be a fool with me. So how is that? And when you become wise, then I can make a change in that. So does did that come across a little bit clearer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
Yes. Just speaking, on myself, looking at the things that I've done in my life, um, I know that, like what I was saying earlier, like purposely doing things that I knew that was wrong, and a lot of those things came from people who I associated with. You
Good,
know,
good.
I was I was just completely operating in just pure foolishness. But I look at it like, ultimately it's my decision. But I look at it like if I wasn't dealing with this person or dealing with that person, I wouldn't have made those type of decisions. And I know when I was growing up, we learned in school, about peer pressure. When you get older, peer pressure shouldn't be a thing, but sometimes it still find us in adulthood.
Yes, yes.
Um, and just operating in a certain area where I'm going along with the go along, where I should find a way to get myself away from a certain person, a certain people. For example, if I know that this person steal, I'm not going to the store with you. I'm not going to walk in the store with you because
Right.
you stealing can bring me down. And in this world, we call that guilty by association. Um, I know plenty of people who was just had nothing to do with anything that is going on, but they end up getting caught up with certain things because they associate themselves with certain people. And then especially like you brought up the social media aspect of it. Um, you know, let's just take the walk for instance. Um, let's just say I was with a certain group of people dealing with certain things, and here I am online putting these things out. Here I am 6 years later. People may not know that I've grown from that, but I'm still
Right.
associated with the negative things that I put out. I'm
Right.
still
Right.
associated with those things, those foolish things, and I'm just speaking on the walk itself.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's one of those things where it's like a lot of times when we come in is we just want to feel a part of something. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we just got to make sure that the things we attach ourselves to are of the things of the Father. And sometimes it may take some time to get through that. A lot of us, where we come from in our background, it may take some time to navigate through that. But trusting in the Father, He will always get us up out of those situations. But, those things, they're aligned. Those things are engraved in people's head, and it's like, where do you go from there? You know that you don't operate like that, but that person still see you. That person still know you as that person that put this type of information out, or
Right.
that
Right.
person that associated with certain people. So that's my take on it, Elder.
Yes. Yes. I think that was real good because you touched on those good areas because one of them is when it is very important who, like you say, who you associate with, because most people take snapshots, and some people don't realize that you may have grown from that or where we are going at. We just, no matter what we do, we just get associated or you know a picture of us with that group, when you brought up the groups with this situation of what I have done, because I had a transition coming into covenant. So when you leave the religious system and come into covenant, then some people may know you back in a religious system in a part of your life that you're not there. And then sometimes they can't figure out where you at now, though, in that. But, that's good. You had very good. You touched different areas, and I think that was good. All right, my brother, come on, get on this train.
So I'm just taking notes on what y'all saying.
Yeah, yeah, we're going to charge you for that.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. I'll give you my address in a minute. So just how does association with foolishness cause me harm and or cause others harm? I really like what JD was saying, and I will jump on that. Reputation really is one of the it really will it can bring you some trouble, and reputation of others can completely overshadow you. And there's a positive and a negative to it, but right now we're dealing with the foolish side of it. But I'd say views. Sometimes if you're associated with any particular group of individuals or a singular, and they are very known for having certain views, it's very likely that people are going to assume that you have the exact same views that they do. And that can come down with all different issues. It can come down with issues of morality. It can come down with issues of justice. It can come down with issues of kindness. So we're the reputation of foolishness sometimes is like an umbrella around everyone who deals with those individuals. And I know sometimes, you might see this with the famous. They might rub shoulders with someone who's known for doing something pretty outlandish, and or, just something of ill report, and they'll try to justify how I know they do these things, but I'm trying to reach them. Well, mission failed. You're going to look like you're just how can I say, you're buddy buddy with this particular individual, no matter how you try to dress it up. So I say reputation definitely has a big issue with how foolishness can cause those who are associated with it harm. And if we're dealing with it in a scriptural context, we can see that certain beliefs on the word may influence the way that people associate with you. So we have certain groups out here that say things about the word, and using their doctrine, they can't see the word any other way. Well,
Good, good.
unfortunately, you associate with those individuals in their doctrine. Even if I mean, just look at if I try to make a example, Shaul held the coats for those who stoned Stephen, and he was associated with that. Well, later when he accepted the good news of the Messiah, everyone still looked at him as who he was before. And that's really what I'm trying to say is like who you associate with, that reputation will follow. And sometimes it's even hard to convince people that you've changed from those ways to the new ones. And I could even say that for myself. Coming into the covenant, I'd say I'm an entirely different person, in my character and my interest and all those things from who I was. And I think the scripture wisely says, evil company corrupts. So I knew what it was like to be corrupted. So then now separating myself from the foolishness that I've been cleansed from and washed from it's created this giant chasm. And now if anyone were to try and recognize me from the person I was, I wouldn't have any resemblance of that. So I think that's really the way I can say it from the best for me, because my ways were foolish and I brought trouble on myself, and the people who were around me brought trouble on me. And we were constantly shoulder to shoulder, drowning in our own mess, not realizing that we brought this upon ourselves. But thank goodness the master reaches out to the downtrodden. And, so I'm grateful. But when it's all said and done, my reputation definitely needed to be cleaned. And I could say that if you do associate with things that shame you, you have an opportunity to let it go. You can turn it around. It's going to take an entire lifestyle, not just words, to be a new person.
Hallelujah. And I think that was good. You were saying it takes a lifestyle, a whole lifestyle. And that is good, because wherever you was at then. So we dealt with that foolishness part of it. And what brings you out of foolishness is wisdom. So it's something that brings you out. You don't have to stay foolish, but wisdom is what has to bring you out. So, and then we go back to what we were saying at the beginning is to recognize the wisdom. We have to recognize that in each situation. It's like, okay, you have people that say some wise things, and I think that this is what we get caught up in. Just because I'm gonna use me again, just because I say something that was, we say words like, oh, that was profound, oh, that was good, Dad. What that does not mean, right? Because some people are really good and they are motivated speakers to this, right? They can put those things together. But just because you say something that has wisdom in it does not mean that you're wise, right? It does not mean so. It goes back to what you gentlemen were saying. It is a lifestyle. So that's when you connect yourself to someone, and not by, when I say connecting, I think I'm reiterating again. I'm talking about really connecting. You see them, you call them, you talk to them, you're doing all of these things, not just the social media connection. And we'll talk about that maybe as we go into part two, because it is a different connection to what we're talking about, the connection of covenant, or the connection what we are talking about. Electronic connections are different than person to person. And I think what happens is it's getting lost. I'm not saying that it's totally lost, but it is getting lost, in that. And somehow we have to hold on to that, because I say something that, is power, what they would say, God, oh, that's wisdom. Let me share this with you. Oh, that's wisdom. Let that share me with anyone can say something of wisdom of words, right? But the wisdom of life is what's powerful, right? The wisdom of life is what's powerful. So a lot of people can do foolish things. I didn't say foolish things, but that don't make me a fool, in that. So the line of crossing over to whether a person is a fool or is they wisdom or not is those things that we have to recognize in that, because I know that sometimes as you walk in the path of wisdom, wisdom recognizes wisdom. It recognizes those things. So the thing is, if I'm so familiar with wisdom, right? And I'm gonna pull a surprise on you guys real quick. How let me say, how can I word it? Because I'm coming off the top. How can I know? Because what I want to portray here is we have to be so familiar with wisdom that we know what a fool is. So where do I get what wisdom is? Who wants to get a crack at it? How do I get that wisdom?
From the scriptures.
Okay. Do you agree with that, Jedediah?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I get so familiar with the word of Yah, right? That foolishness automatically just boom, because it is a darker side of the light, right? So automatically, when I look at the scriptures, if somebody would say, for me to walk, that's foolishness over there. Well, it's foolishness because our scripture says it is, not because I came up with it, not because of what I feel. It is foolishness. So the line that I'm drawing, or the boundaries that I have, is to make sure in let me see this here in Proverbs chapter 2. I just pulled this up here. So walk in the ways, look, of goodness. We have to do that, right? And so when I look at that and I know that the ways of goodness, like you guys has said, is the scriptures of Yah, is his word. And then I have to guard those paths of righteousness. I have to guard those things, right? Because I know that that is the way I have to guard it. And so that's something that we have to understand, that the wisdom is in his word. Now, once I say study the wisdom, then I have to, in order for it to be complete, then I have to have it go forth in my life, you know. So I can't be one, right, that say wisdom of things. We could, we could put up this scripture all day long, and anyone can say this, right? Anyone can go to Proverbs 13 and 20 and say, he who walks with the wise, and so you can you can go through that, shall be wise. Anyone can say that from a child on, right? But what makes it something that we want to say, use the word as being powerful, or what makes it concrete, or what makes it when somebody connect to me, when they connect to me and I am walking out the scriptures, I'm walking out a path of righteousness. Guess what they connecting themselves to? Righteousness, right? Because we are walking that path. When I connect to someone else, it doesn't have to be me. I'm connecting. When I connect to you brothers, I'm walking a path of righteousness, because you brothers are walking a path of righteousness, right? So it is going to be a good influence of wisdom for me, right? We are all at the different levels, and that will always be. But when I'm walking with you and all of those things, it's gonna be you're gonna betray wisdom, because you're getting your wisdom from Yah, in that, from His Word. So as you begin to study His Word, then you get the wisdom of Yah in that, and then we can be able to walk upright, and everything else is foolishness. That there is, there's no use to going around that. Anything else is foolishness. So we want to stay on that path, And so when somebody is in covenant and when somebody is going after the thing of the scriptures, they are identified as being wise, right? And so that's who I want to follow. Now, like we said earlier, now if you on the job, if you're doing different things, then we have to discover, right, that person that knows what they're doing, and then when they do those particular things. So because you can have skills in something, right? And I think you had mentioned that you can have the skill in something, and I can get that from you, but I'm learning the trade of that. I'm learning the things of that, right? But you could make something and then what I want to say, sell it to somebody, right? And then you sell it for an outrageous price, you know, and so you had a talent there, and I can get that talent from you, but I wouldn't sell it for an outrageous price. I wouldn't try to make something or try to present something that it wasn't. That's the wisdom of it. But I could learn the talent that person have that he made, whatever it is. The wisdom of it is I want to give it, to you at a fair price. I wouldn't say that, I've spent 10 hours working on this and I only spent 5, right? So that's the reason a wise man would be a truthful man. So whereas the person that taught me how to do this, I got his skill in doing that, but I wouldn't take on what he told the person. It took me 10 hours, and it only took us 5. I was with him when he did it, but he wanted to raise the price. He wanted to have an outrageous price, and because of that, he said he spent more time. Right. So now I have to understand, but this here is not wise here of what he's doing. So then I have to recognize that, and the only way I can unrecognize that, or one of the ways, is I must know what the Father says about that. Equal weights and measures, right? I have to know that. That's the wisdom in that. So you have those different skills, and you have those things. So we always have to, make sure that we bring those things up in what area it is in. Just because it sounds good, it's just like, what is your life about, and who you connecting yourself with in that, because you definitely, it definitely gonna, run over in that. It'll definitely run over in that. So did any of you, Jim, want to comment on what I just said, or did that spur up something else that you might have? Good. No.
No,
That's
I don't have anything else.
Okay. All right. Let me see what the time. Okay, we got. Let me see if I can pull one out here. How does making a connection with someone, influence our decision making? I think you might have hit that process. So how do I make it? How me connecting with somebody, or what, whether it be wise or foolish, we can kind of, if we need to, vary from that. But in my decision making, do people around me affect my decision making? That's what I wanted to ask you, gentlemen. Who want to jump on it first?
I'll go ahead. Well, I say now, being in covenant, that should be pretty easy for us. We should be able to understand the decisions that we are making. You know, it's, it should come from the word. Like, how am I dealing with this certain situation when I'm dealing with this person? Who's in my life, who's an influence in my life? Is this person going to influence me to do negative things? Is this person going to influence me to say negative things? And I found myself going down that road, and I had to pull myself back, and that's one thing I do praise the Father for, because that's the wisdom in it. The wisdom is recognizing when you going in a certain place that you shouldn't be going. And it's like, let me pull myself back. Let me separate myself from this person. Let's just take work, for instance. Yes, I have to work with this person. And my decisions that I make is my decisions. And I cannot let he or she influence my decisions. So um, in being in covenant and just being where we are and we walking with the Father, we should not allow anyone outside the covenant, especially, to influence the things that we do in our life. That should we, if anything, we should be influencing them. You know, and we supposed to be that light. We're the salt of the earth. So if that is us, then the influence should be going out. It should not be coming in. So that's my take on it, Elder.
Okay, all right, all right. My brother, you want to step up to the plate?
I'll swing, but I don't know if I'm gonna miss or not. So yes, bro. I really agree with you there. That making the workplace has a huge role in that, and I'd say where I'm going to start with that is authority. Oh man, making the wise decision, using the authority you have, because I'm pretty sure we've all been in a situation where, well, not everybody, but if you've ever been in a situation where you had to clean up, you can clearly discern that the decision that you're cleaning up could have been avoided if this person would have gone up and asked somebody with the right authority to make the decision that they made improperly. And I think that has a huge thing, is just knowing where you are. um how can I say, when it comes down to how you make decisions, if you I mean, that takes wisdom in itself, but really what it is some people could say knowing your role. So I say knowing your role, your responsibilities, what you have overseership over, really is going to affect the way you make wise decisions. Um, and if you know that appropriately, or you have a good understanding of that, you will be able to discern where you do need help, where you should seek advice, and when you should run on the wisdom to which you have. Because maybe you might be the expert in this particular area, but then it starts to cross over into someone else's area. And instead of making a decision in that person's expertise, or making a decision with what you may think you know, you can lean on somebody who actually does know and make a better decision. So I think people call that caution. So I say, like, how does making decisions like that, wise decisions, I really believe it deals a lot with knowing yourself. Knowing, if you we talked about this in the past, but if you can't build or you can't swing a hammer, then you shouldn't make a decision to go and buy a bunch of extra, wood and lumber, more than what you can build, just on a basic skill, thinking that you're going to turn all this wood into a shed. If you have no experience in that, you should probably make the decision to hire someone. you know or I think the easy one is electrical work. If you just hire an electrician, because if you don't, you can hurt yourself. So, and I mean, I'm not saying you can't figure some things out. I believe a lot of people, they DIY a lot these days, but some you don't want to make it your last. So all I mean by that is, if you're honest with yourself on what you're capable of, what you have authority over, who you have authority over, when it comes time for you to make a decision, it'll work out.
All right, all right. That was good, my brother. Real good. Okay. Just as we close, I want to, this decision making, right? The influence. Maybe we can leave us. I'm trying to leave us. I was thinking as you was talking and trying to listen too. But the say if you had a person, right, and it's something that you was going to make a decision about, right? Who you connected to, does that person, how, what should I say, how does that person help you in your decision making? We dealing with wise or foolish person, right? So how does that person have you? Okay, for instance, y'all can tell me. Maybe I'm trying to think of something here. I'm gonna cut my grass. Should I cut my grass at a 110-degree sunny weather, or should I wait to later on when the temperature will be 70 degrees, right? So you ask me, right? Should I cut my grass at 110? I'm telling you, go ahead and cut it. Go ahead and cut that at 110. Don't worry about that. Just go ahead and get through it real quick. If you get through it real quick, then the faster you go, then the quicker you'll get done. What would y'all say about that?
I don't.
Huh?
I be like, I would say that's unwise. You know,
You calling me
because
unwise? You shouldn't have asked me if you calling me unwise. Matter of fact, don't drink no water. Just hurry up, and when you finish, drink all the water you can.
yeah, I'll be like, I'm not doing that. You know, like I'm not. I know the results of what's going to happen from that. You know,
Okay, okay.
but I guess if I knew the answer to it, I wouldn't have came to you. But you know, for the sake of the argument, it you got to think about things like that because I know where you're trying to go with that, elder. And it's just
Mm-hmm.
like when we get something like that, we really got to examine
Okay.
like
Mm-hmm.
what is going to be the outcome of me taking this person advice. You
Right.
know,
Right.
so that's just the way I look at it. You examine the things that you get from people. And instead of just trying to just, okay, I'm gonna do this. He said do it. He probably did it too, so I can do it too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
nah, let's let's take a step back because going out at 110 degrees with no water and going as fast as you can, that sounds like a disaster.
Okay. All right. And we have a connection, right? So if I told you that we have a connection, but even though we have a connection and but I'm trying to make a decision about something, I have to also, like you say, I have to look at it, and see what's going on because that's not wise in that. What do you think, brother? I think he could do it though. I think you can do it.
So, um, I guess is first thing I would ask is if you did you do that? Have you
No,
done that before?
no,
Because
no,
sometimes
right. No, I ain't doing. I'm just giving you advice on how to do it. I just feel like it's quicker.
oh, okay. Um, even in the medical world, there's such thing as a second opinion. So I may
Yeah.
maybe get another one, just to be sure, because it's real hot, and I would say it's probably just not good to do it that way. I might, I might just listen to what you had to say and receive it kindly, but I probably would do something different, or ask for another opinion.
Right. Right. So if let me ask you this. So on who did any of you just a who I am say? Okay, we're gonna just bring it. Say on who I am. I'm you guys teacher. So because I said that to you guys, how would you handle that? If I said that for real, I guess I'm backing up now. If I said that for real, how would you handle that?
I'd be like, see, you won't believe what the elder told
Okay,
me.
yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, I can hear you now. Right, 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 right. So now give an example to the people on how to respond to authority like that, though.
Okay, I would say thank you.
Okay,
I would just receive it kindly, like I said before. I would just thank you. I appreciate that answer, and I know you're trying to help me get my yard cut, and thanks for taking your time out to share that with me. I'll
Okay.
definitely consider
Okay. What about you? So you wouldn't come out just call me stupid right away. That's crazy,
it.
right?
No,
Right.
sir.
Okay. What about you, my brother?
I'll have to take his route, and hopefully later on, like try to re-examine it with you and try to figure out why would you tell me to do something like that? Because
Okay.
you one of the authority figures in my life, so I need to make sure that like where you at on this decision that you given me,
Right.
because
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious now because I'm like, wait a minute, you know. So, but it's just one of those things where the respect will still be there, There is, it's because I've gotten so much from you already. So it's like, why this thing? What is going on with this? And I'm gonna dwell on it for a long time. That's just the way I am.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, we gonna have to revisit this one, Elder.
Right. Right.
So that's why that's what I would do, but in a very respectful way.
Okay, all right. We're in a bonus round right now. So, because that one right there, what we dealing with now does go with it, but that was on the spot, and I think it's very important how we deal with it because I'm saying, and y'all can correct me here if when I say correct me, don't let me put words or nothing in your mouth. But the reason that you guys reacted like that, because you think that I may be a place of wisdom. Is that correct? Right. So that's the reason you responded the way that you did. Sometimes when a person don't come, you don't have that person, that figure of authority, or what that situation, that group of wisdom, then that you are always have question marks. So you have to realize that who the person that you're talking to is a wisdom or is it not. You know what I'm saying? And so to make sure that all of us would understand that I would treat you the same way though if you told me the same thing, right? I would say I would, like you say, I would consider that, and I look at it and I say, I never heard of that one before, and then we would, I would treat you in such a way that why would you cut that grass when you can cut it later and it might be better. It could be if you're a person that likes medical, because I have a relationship with you, I go the medical route. There have been times that sometimes I tell people something and they may not take it. If I said I Google something, then it's, they'll take it. And if I say, AI came up with this, then they'll take it. But if I say it, then they don't want to take it. So it's according to how a person, receives it, in that. But definitely the same way in that, knowing that those things. But I said all that to say that just make sure that when we were talking about on tonight, because we want to have a lifestyle of what I do. It was something I read. Oh, a lifestyle that is healthy, not an unhealthy lifestyle. That's what I want to say. So in that thing, those choices, you're gonna have a healthy choice and then the unhealthy choice. So the example that I have given was one is a healthy choice and one is an unhealthy, right? In that, because there is someone that have cut the grass like that, probably especially in Texas. Y'all know it's 300 degrees, and in that. But it's probably somebody that cut that, and I'm just saying, and somebody maybe got through it. But is it the rightful thing? Is it a healthy thing? You see what I'm saying? So in making those decisions, it's very important who you connecting yourself with, and the smaller your group is that you connecting is the better. Now, when I'm saying that you may have a similar something, I'm not saying that. I'm talking about when it comes down, to two or three. I think we was talking about our Mashiach. He only had 12, right? We want thousands, but he only had 12 in that, right? So, and then when he went to do certain things, what did he do? Do y'all remember? Out of the 12, what did he do?
sometimes he would only take two or three with him.
Okay, he only take two or three. So we need to learn something from that, right? It's not that he didn't appreciate the 12. It's just that the ones that he needed to take to, that's the focus that he had. And any teacher that listened to me, they'll understand that part of it. So it's not that you don't love nobody else, you don't care about nobody else. It's just that this particular group or that person needs to understand this. And we know Kiefer, right? Peter, he was always, maybe one that kind of stood out in doing this, doing that, or whatever, right? That's just the way that it goes in that, right? It's the way that it goes. So, like I said, that was just, I think it kind of caught me there, but I think it's good, a good example of the making decisions in that. So it is very, very important, who you're listening to, and if you have your father and your mother, you want to listen to them. Your leadership, you want to listen to them. Just it's certain ones, but sometimes we have the tendency to pick the wrong ones, right? So we'll talk more about that in the second is, picking the right one, and then we'll give some examples, of those that, in our scriptures as well, and so, to better to communicate those things. All right. So I wanted to, I had several of them down here, and we're going to, okay, I can say that for next time. Okay. Any closing words, my brother?
So Jedediah said something that I've lived. So what he said about the example he gave, um, I could say this about the wise, because a lot of people, when they're pursuing the Father, which is a pursuit of wisdom, that you're going to fear, you want to fear Him. So that's where you start. But the goal is that you end up becoming wise, right? So in that pursuit of the Father, and then the Father leading me to have a wonderful teacher I have with you, More. There's been plenty of times where what Jedediah just said is true, where it's just like, I didn't understand this. But all that you've said or all that you've taught me, I should not hinge everything on this one thing I didn't understand. And I think that that's something that I've seen plenty of times when people do seek the Father. They love Him in areas 1 through 5, but because they don't understand area 6, now they question. And I say that in your pursuit of wisdom, that's not a wise. That is not a sign of wisdom. If someone is, if let's just put it this way, if you're hungry and you come across a wise man and he says, where can I get some, you ask him, where can I get some bread? And he says, go over there. They're giving away bread right now. And you go get some bread. And you come back and you say, thank you. And next time he says, well, go over there and get some bread. And they're not giving bread. That doesn't mean the man isn't as wise. He knew that they were giving bread. They just didn't have any for you that time, or whatever the case may be. And I'm just saying that in the sense of, when you find out someone who is wise, you wear out their doorstep and understanding them in the things you do get and the things you don't. Because the idea is, it's like a seed. It's going to take some time before it grows. And I'm telling you, as somebody who is, sat at the feet for a while now, there are things that you're going to be like, why don't I get this? But that's the journey. That's the journey. And I believe if you're pursuing to become wise, endure, become a person who can endure long suffering and endure all types of lessons, because we know Messiah gave a lesson where he spoke and many people turned away from him because the word was too hard. When he told them to eat and drink of him, they didn't get it. So they left. We got to be that rare group that stays behind and says, where else are we going to go? Because you have the words of life. And I think that that's a good sign of somebody who's pursuing wisdom. So
Yeah.
JD, Yada, you inspired me on that.
Yeah. Hallelujah. Well, that was a good inspiration. That's good, my brother. Yeah, because that's what some of the things that you definitely were saying that we need, and we need to understand in that. What you got there, brother?
I think everything he had to say right there is on point. Um, it's very important for us to look for that wisdom in our life. And we dealing with the scriptures. But what about the more, the teacher that is dealing with the scriptures? Those people are just so important in our lives, because that wisdom that's coming from there, that wisdom is not something that's fly by night. That wisdom has been gained through years and years of experience, years and years of learning. And it's something that we want to attach ourselves to. And the Father, He has given us, good shepherds here in this time that we're living in. And it's important to use it. It's important to use, like you say, the shepherd staff. And I just praise the Father for everything that I've been through and all the way up until this point, finding you, Elder, and just continue to try to grow in wisdom, you know. And I just appreciate even having this opportunity to come on here and grow with you because I'm learning right now. This is a learning process for me,
Yes.
even though I'm saying all these things, I'm learning. I
Yeah.
couldn't picture
Hallelujah.
myself doing this a year ago, and I got Ak up here with me. So this is a blessing. And I just praise the Father and thank you for this opportunity, Elder.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I may mention this again. This is the bonus round for those who say they going a long time. You guys, that really, I was going to say this for next time, but one of the things that I have a desire to do is I had this down, so I'm gonna look at this at the same time. Giving you guys the guidance that you need, right? Is very important because I want to give to you my life story in the fact of that I want to be able to leave something with you that you can carry it on, right? I won't be here always, right? I want to be able to carry that on. Now that might not have been sound right, be with you always. They're gonna say what I mean by that is they'll take that boy, they'll make a clip out of that one. Let me stop. What I meant to say that I will die, okay? And I won't raise myself up, that's for sure. Excuse me, that I had a thought, boy. They have fun with that one, boy. That's just the that's what happens when you read the word. Sometimes it just comes up on you like that. But what that does is it offers advice, right? Don't run nobody's life, but it offers advice. Because when we were saying making decisions earlier, that something I have a desire to do is assist and to help. I'm just gonna say you guys, since we talking, help you guys to navigate through different situations, right? And that's where we want to pull the wisdom from. So it's making decisions. So if you asking me, then it's just guidance, because I want you to achieve your goal, right? I want you to achieve your goal, and when I see that again, it is just guidance. I want to make sure you have the right insight. So those of you people may be looking for a shepherd or assembly or leadership. Those are some of the things that should be a traits. And if we were to run the scriptures, you would find that. I want to be able to provide information for you, right? And not only you, but the whole assembly. So this includes the whole assembly in that. I want to be able to offer what's recommended in the things of the Father. Those are the things I want to do. And this, what kind of action that you can potentially take in each situation when you're walking with the things of the Father. I want to be able to support and have a desire to support you in every area of your life. Want your family to be better, right? And I want all these things to be done positively in the decision making and in your personal development, right? I want you better. I want you better. I want you to grow. I want you to be better, and I want you to be leaders, each one, and those in the even in the assembly, they ought to be better in that. Those of you that might be even listening to that, I'm sure wherever assembly you are at, that's probably the heart, and it should be the heart. It may not. Everybody may have a different. idea. That's just my idea. You don't have to have my idea in that. But when the brothers echo that I feel that that's what they may have received or sense from my life, not just what I say, not just what I teach, but I think I can truly say you guys receive this from my life, right? Is that okay? Yeah, and so I
Yes,
think,
sir.
huh? Yes, yes, absolutely. So that's what I'm saying. So you was introduced to a person or a voice, but I will teach you with my life, right? I will teach you with my life. So I can't tell you to love your wife and I ain't loving mine. I know what the scripture says, right? So we're gonna have to do that. So you have to be able to see that, right? And not only just with me, but with all of us. That's something that we have to do. In that. So to love others and to be patient with others. How can I tell you to be patient with others, but I ain't never patient with you, right? You won't know what that looks like because you would think that okay, three times you're out. You would think that that's what the patience he's talking about, right? So you have to see that, and then the same thing you have to be able to teach others, your children, and all of that in that. So decision making is a very and powerful situation in our lives. So that's the reason we have to be careful on who we connected to. And when I say connected to, I'm talking about to give our heart over to give our mind over to that. And I think you brought up something, brother, that we have our scriptures, but if I don't see the scriptures walking, then I won't know how to really do this. I can go anywhere. And if then that's when people say I'm just be led by the Spirit. That's that's a problem, right? Because which spirit are you being led by? You need to identify the spirit that you led by if you want to say that. And I know that sounds good, and I know that that's something that people say, but we have to make sure that the information that we get sometime we need to address that to make sure that we are in alignment, right? I want you to be in alignment with the things of the Father and the goals that the Father has for you, right? Because the Father has something for you, and that's the reason you're here today, because it has something for you. And so I'm so grateful for all of you that are still in the room and still with us in that, just hanging in there with the bonus round. And next week, if the Father says the same, then we'll have a part two to this, and we'll even discuss any more. All right. So we're going to say shalom, my brothers. Love you much. Thank you so very much. Appreciate y'all.
Mr. Cash, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.